Welcome to Poland Daily History with me, Nicholas Richardson. In this series of episodes, we'll look at the partitions of Poland, and I'm joined in the studio by Professor Krzysztof Jabłonka. Professor, looking now from the point of view of Prussia, what was Prussia's interest in the partitions of Poland?
Na początku mała uwaga.
Before we begin, I would like to focus on one thing. Poland was not the only country that was partitioned. The Great Duchy of Lithuania was partitioned as well. The partitions concerned the entire Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. Of all the three partitioning powers, Prussia was the most interested in partitions, and basically it was attacking Poland all the time, but their army was not strong enough. We have to remember that Poles saved the Austrian Empire. They were the saviors of Vienna. Prussia was the feudatory of the Polish kingdom until the Swedish invasion. And now, Prussians were trying to destroy the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, their savior. Prussia failed many times. Finally, they came into an agreement with Catherine the Great, who decided that the northern part of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth would no longer be a protectorate of Russia. After this decision, in 1771, the first units of the Prussian army entered the Polish territory of Pomerania and Kuyavia and faked all the documents that existed. Prussians would have taken over even more territories if Russia wouldn't stop them. What's interesting is that two cities inhabited by the Germans, Gdańsk and Toruń, defended themselves. The Germans decided to defend these territories because the rights they had were very developed and they would lose them in an absolutist Prussia, where every single decision was made by the king. He was the one who was implementing taxes which were becoming about 8 times higher in places invaded by his army. Gdańsk had been defending itself for 22 years. The city of Toruń as well. At first, Prussia was losing, but they succeeded after the Polish-Russian War in defense of the Constitution of May 3rd, 1792, when Russia gave permission for another partition. Prussia conquered the territory of Greater Poland province. Poles resisted the Prussian oppression in 3 places, among others the city of Gniezno, which is the place of the birth of the Polish nation. We didn't let the Prussians take it without a fight. Unfortunately, we had no chance to fight them. The city of Gdańsk had been defending itself for over 4 months. At the end of the day, we had to give up, because we didn't get any help from the outside. Holland was busy supporting the states of the Netherlands. The Hel Peninsula and Żuławy had been resisting Prussia for a long time. Our oppressor eventually won, but it wasn't the end. As soon as the Kościuszko uprising broke out, the entire Greater Poland province, Kuyavia and a part of Pomerania started to fight for our homeland. The 3 regions won and fought the Prussian army. At the same time, the Kościuszko uprising failed, and Tadeusz Kościuszko was taken captive. Warsaw was besieged. Jan Henryk Dąbrowski took the Greater Poland insurgents and came back to the capital. When the army disbanded, Greater Poland had been resisting the oppressors until January 1795. One of the office workers of the city of Zaniemyśl wrote down that Poles laid down their weapons. They used scythes to defend themselves in the forest. That is how Prussia ended their invasion. The final partition treaty, signed on January 26, 1797, is the most important document. The 11th chapter of the document says, "And the name of the being called Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth will not be mentioned again." The names of Poland, Lithuania and Ruthenia could not be used in Western diplomacy. During the Napoleonic era, we had to come up with the name Duchy of Warsaw because we couldn't call it Poland. We could use the names Kingdom of Poland or Kingdom of Lithuania or Ruthenia only after the French invasion of Russia, also called the Second Polish Invasion of Moscow. This is the history of the partition of our country. Prussia was always the initiator of the partitions, especially the ruler of Prussia, Frederick, called the Great by Prussians, and the Highwayman by Poles.
Inicjatorami zawsze były Prusy, a szczególnie Fryderyk, przez Niemców zwany Wielkim, a rozbójnikiem przez Polaków.
Professor, could you say something about how Poles fared under the Prussian partition? And I'm thinking particularly of two issues which are very sensitive, land and language.
Trzeba powiedzieć, że zabór pruski odwrotnie niż austriacki.
The Prussian partition was totally different than the Austrian. At first, it was very harmless. The mother of Jan Henryk Dąbrowski was of Saxon origin. Dąbrowski was writing his diary in German because his mother tongue was German. His father taught him Polish. Prussia wanted him to become the Prussian general, but he refused. He decided to emigrate and establish the legions. His honor wouldn't let him accept Prussia's offer. If Poles lose their homeland, the only thing left is their honor. The conditions in the Prussian partitions were harmless. Prussians were trying to convince Poles that they were Prussians who spoke Polish. Poles could keep their language and their law. Nobility could get loans in order to develop the economy. Prussians were trying to convince Poles to help them develop the Prussian economy, earn a lot of money and forget about Poland. But there was this one thing that Prussia couldn't do anything about. The Prussian aggressors invaded Greater Poland province, which is the heart of Poland. They also invaded the city of Gniezno, Poznań and Biskupin. Biskupin is the oldest town of Poland, inhabited by our ancestors many years before Christ. Our ancestors were not necessarily of Slav origin. Poles couldn't give it up, so Prussia decided to launch the cultural offensive and implemented two processes. The first one was the colonization, during which Prussia was trying to get Germans to live here. They paid them a lot of money, but they ran away anyway. The second process was called Kulturkampf, which is German for the culture war. Prussia wanted to get rid of Catholicism, Polish language and Polish spirit. It had the opposite effect, because the Prussian nobility of Masuria found out about their Polish origin. The von Winkler family, which changed their name to Kętrzyński, can be a good example here. The family went down in Polish history as a great patriotic family, especially Wojciech Kętrzyński, even though he was writing his diary and poems in Germany, because it was his mother tongue. Germans didn't let Polish culture meet the German culture. Poles who spoke German have never spoken German with the Germans.
Spotkania się polsko-niemieckiego. To zostało gruntownie zerwane i Polacy, nawet znający niemiecki, nigdy z Niemcami po niemiecku nie rozmawiali.
That's all we've got time for on this episode. Thank you for watching and thank you to Professor Jabłonka for joining us. Do join us again on Poland Daily History, where we delve into the fascinating and long history that is Poland.